As you can see, I've upgraded engine to electric starter. I bought the engine with electric starter some time ago, along with some extra parts. So the plan now is to remove some parts to have access to the old engine, then remove the old engine, put the new engine in, then we will make the electrical wiring.
No, już tyle.
During the engine swap, we've encountered some problems. I have list of these problems with me, so now I will highlight all of them for you. So the first difference between the SE and S version of the engine is the number of wires coming out of the engine. In DR350S we have an extra ground wire. In DR350SE, this little ground wire is replaced by a thick ground wire used by the starter motor. The rest of the connectors is the same in our case, but some DR350 Kickstarter engines use one instead of two crank position sensors. Of course, we also had to add a starter relay and two fat wires going to starter. We bought and installed this starter relay to plastic battery box using one bolt. To control starter relay you need two wires, ground wire and signal wire. We connected the new starter relay ground wire to the empty connector near the CDI. This connector was not used with the DR350SE engine, so we used it. The second starter relay wire, the control wire, comes from the handlebar. More details on it in a moment. We used 10 square millimeters thick wire to power up the starter motor. At the ends of the wires we added bolt connectors. In total we've made 3 thick wires. From battery positive terminal to starter relay, from starter relay to starter motor, and the last one, ground wire from battery to the engine. At the end we've wrapped all the cables with a cloth tape. Next obvious but problematic thing we had to change is this handlebar switch. We had to change it because we need a button for electric starter. It was problematic because connectors in these both switches were completely different. Here you can see the difference between connectors. It is nice to use DR350SE starter switch because there is a built-in safety feature. To engage electric starter you need to switch the kill switch to run position, then signal can be passed through after pressing starter button. Of course everything stops working when key in ignition switch is in the off position. You can convert the DR350SE connector by changing pins from male to female and by adding a new 4-pin connector. You should replace wires with the same color scheme order as in DR350S. At the end we have our extra signal for starter relay. Next, for safety reasons, we had to change the clutch lever for a clutch lever with a position sensor. Switch inside the clutch lever sensor must be in the on position to pass signal through to the starter relay. Another thing we have to change is carburetor. There are two problems. One is the idle speed screw. As you can see in DR350SE, it is bended because of the starter motor. The second problem is the throttle cables holder. You can replace the holder or replace the throttle cables. We used cable holder from DR350S carb. For the new engine we could use the old CDI, but because of this we lack some safety functions. In DR350SE CDI unit, there is an additional wire to control the side stand relay. I'm not sure how it works, but it probably turns off the starter when the side stand is opened and bike is on gear. In our case, there is a small problem. With the side stand open and bike on gear, you can spin the engine with the e-starter. But ignition is cut off and clutch is pressed, so the bike won't start and move. The only problem is a pointless battery drain. Here you can see a safety test performed by Dawid. To start the bike, you need to turn on the ignition switch, kill switch and press the clutch. Next difference is the number of teeth in the front sprocket. Additionally, because of this we also have to check the rear sprocket, because we have to maintain the proper gear ratio. The difference in gear ratio is about 7% now. It means that at top speed bike goes slower by 7%, but also it has 7% more torque. Probably I'll leave it like this for now. Here you can see some calculations from the gear commander. Difference is not big. The crankcase breather port is a little different in both engines. In DR350S it is much thicker than in DR350SE. We used a piece of rubber hose to connect the engine with the airbox. Another difference between the engines is that in the S version we had manual decompressor and in the SE version of engine we have automatic decompressor, so we could get rid of this decompressor lever from the handlebar. Another thing which is different between the both engines is the spark plug size. It is not a big problem. It's only sad a little because last time we bought a iridium spark plug and it is useless now. For the SE engine we would also have to have 2 times bigger battery, but we will try to go with a small battery, old, because I have a Kickstarter added anyway, and it will not be any problem if the battery will go flat. We've tested a small battery and it works pretty nice. It was able to start the engine again and again in off-road without getting flat. But we were able to make it flat at a camping, because we've charged 2 empty phones at once, haha. As you can hear, we have internal problem in the old exhaust. But luckily we have a new one. From Cool Things we also bought original toolbox with original Suzuki tools. There is still some work to be done. We have some wires to wrap still, and we have to connect some accessories here, but other than that, engine is working as it should. So that's all from the engine swap summary for now. We will continue working on DR and prepare for a trip to Romania. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.